Good morning, traders. TG Watkins here. It is April 15th, tax day. Has everybody remembered to pay their taxes this year? I know it's kind of a bummer, but got to do it. So, all right, we are looking at the market. We're going to be doing a market update today, and we have been seeing that the market has been weak over the last week and a half. But even leading up to that, we've been seeing things start to roll over and move down ahead of the market. And that makes sense because a lot of times the market is the last thing to kind of turn both up or down because it is the slower vehicle of the market. All right, so if we look at this, the one thing that I want to really point out, since we're going to go around the things, we're going to be looking at the indices. I'm going to show you guys some stuff underneath the hood and kind of what's going on out there. This will be a little bit longer of a video because I want you guys to be able to see, what's happening out there. As far as the S&P, now this is something that we have been watching for quite some time, but it also made it difficult to know exactly when this market was going to roll over. And I then will tell you the exact moment that the market did show us and say, oh, that was it. But basically, kind of from this point on, you guys see here how the Moxie indicator got really messy and mostly was staying around but slightly below zero. That was telling us that energy and momentum were starting to slow down in through here. It was getting messy. It wasn't consistent. The Moxie indicator, that's actually part of what the Moxie indicator was trying to tell you, is that since there wasn't a nice, smooth, consistent effort like this, or even this one, where the indicator was green for multiple days and it was above zero, it got really super choppy right in through here and just could not get over zero, couldn't stay over there. And that is another thing. When you start looking at it, be like, oh, this is a mess, this is garbage, like what's going on here? That is the Moxie indicator really trying to tell you something to communicate to you. Then what we can see is since the market has been starting to trend down, you can see how the indicator really has fallen off a cliff and started to move down and make some new lows. So again, this is information that it is communicating to you and telling you, hey, you guys have to be careful out there. We did right here get the last Moxie price trigger to the downside. As I said, I know that there were a few up here, but again, if you read the indicator itself, it's been messy. And then what we're getting right now, so the S&P actually is the last to fire the red daily Moxie price trigger. The NASDAQ, the Dow, and the IWM have all fired this last week or even the week before. And so those were other indices that were able to tell us, hey, this market is starting to get weak, and watch for this to start rolling over and something to come down. The other thing that we can look at in through here, and so this is where I'll tell you this was the exact day. And regardless of news, whatever the news item was, because 2 years from now you're not going to remember what news item happened here or what the reason was. It's fresh in our memories now, but in the past, in the future, we won't know that. So really, you just have to look at the candle bars and the action. That was it. That was the first day that price broke the daily 21 after this huge 4-month up move. So that was it. That was the shot across the bow. And that's when we started to say, okay, now we really need to get serious on the short side or protection in through here. And then you can see here that price bounced up, and ever since then it's been just following the hourly 50 to the downside. Now, again, as far as fresh memories go, I think it was Thursday, maybe Friday right here. I think it was Thursday, where we had actually a pretty good move up in the market. And we started hearing people like, oh, that was it. That was the pullback. Now we can go long where you can do this kind of stuff. And I was telling everybody, no. This is not, no, do not trust this, do not believe this, because look at the direction of the 50 SMA and look how far below zero the Moxie indicator is. Sure, price could have moved up, another day or something like that, but generally speaking, we cannot trust any up moves when the Moxie indicator is this far below zero, okay? So that is some very strong stuff that I've been trying to communicate to market participants out there, especially on that bounce that we got. It's like, hey, go short-term trade that, but don't expect it to hold. And sure enough, the very next day, it rolled over and pressed hard all day for that. Now, if we look also at the higher time frames in through here, we know that the market is super high. I mean, look, we are running up into our resistance up here. We've been up here for a while, and in fact, I've been waiting for this market pullback to occur, and it just kept going. So now we see that it's here, and right now, we can see that basically price is sitting on the weekly 8 EMA. And that's okay. We'll see how long that can last, but I fully expect price to fall off of the weekly 8 at some point, and I kind of feel like we're heading down towards the weekly 21, probably very similar to what we saw the last correction towards the end of the summer. So it just makes sense. I think that we're going to be coming down a little bit more. So don't get too antsy about getting in on the long side. I think we really have to let this stuff play out and give it some time and just let it do its thing. Now, as far as my ability to be calling this and telling people like what's going on, we did get a bounce this morning over the weekend, and this is a trade alert, or at least just an alert in the trading room that I want you guys to see about. So you can see this was April 12th, 11:52 a.m. So this is Pacific time. It's about a little over an hour before the market closes. It closes at 1 o'clock my time. And so I wanted to tell you guys, like, hey, remember when I was talking about that breadth reading? Well, notice here it got down to 14%. And I said, can't exactly pinpoint it, but this will probably provide some sort of bounce next week, And I said, if you're short, like if you trade short and you're bearish, don't get greedy, because we know that when the market snaps up, it can be like Thursday. Look, we can have these really big short covering rallies and short squeezes. So this was an indication to me saying that if you're short, probably cash in, take some profits off the table, because we know that these things, when the market gets oversold, we can get these big bounces to the upside. Not to mention, we also had the SPY sitting on the daily 50. Actually, I wrote right there, SPY on the daily 50, and that might be another reason to see a bit of a bounce. So this is the kind of stuff and communication that I send out to the Moxie traders and subscribers that are actually in the room, and you can see right there, sat right on the daily 50. Now, it's not always perfect. Sometimes price can actually go below the 50 before it pops, but I kind of figured between that and the breadth reading that I was seeing that there was a good chance that this thing was going to continue to move higher. So far, so good, okay? So we got that bounce. Now, let's see if we can get a little bit of support this week. If we don't, I won't be surprised, because this market is weak, and this daily 50 is only going to be a temporary support. The question is, how long is it going to be support? So if it comes down to the 50 and actually starts to move up for a few more days and go up to here, great. I do think it's going to go down later. Or it can come down here, bounce just a tiny bit, maybe only 1 or 2 days, and then go back down. Either way, I don't care, because I'm in protection mode. This market is not good. It's not healthy. We do need to expect and prepare for it to move down. And if we look at the NASDAQ, we have been seeing this for quite some time too. Now, NASDAQ's holding up, sure. You can see here, like I was just talking about with the SPY, you see how long, how many days the NASDAQ has been sitting on the daily 50? Well, the S&P could do that too. It doesn't have to go anywhere. It could actually just sit there for a while. But I would also expect that eventually the NASDAQ is going to break below the daily 50. I think that's going to happen. I don't see any reason or anything out there that tells me that this should actually move higher. I just don't see it. Of course, I could be wrong, but I don't see that. You can see the Moxie indicator is well below zero, has been trending that way for a while. And really, any moves to the upside have all gotten sold into because the Moxie indicator is below zero, and so far below zero. All right. And then if we even kind of look, let's go over to here, you can see the same thing. The NASDAQ was just overbought, and now we need to let these things come on down and test some support. And remember, I was talking about the weekly 21. Even if you look at the past, weekly 21 was a pretty good area for price to come back down to, okay? It could go further, it could go less, but I think that would be generally a good rule of thumb for it to go to. And we can look at the Dow. The Dow was one of the first ones to pull back, and it pulled back pretty hard, and look where it went, the weekly 21. Now, I don't know if it, since it was the first to be weaker, maybe it's going to go below the weekly 21 because it is weaker. But it's probably going to find some temporary support in this area, maybe bounce a little bit, and then we'll just have to see what that looks like. But again, I think any bounces, even no matter how major they are, I think that they will eventually get sold into. So yeah, just be careful that we're going to see some gyrations around and through here. The market is very volatile right now, and we can even see that through that, speaking of volatility, that the VIX is moving up, and same thing with the UVIX. Now, of course, ebbs and flows. We knew that right in through here, probably not the best place to be getting along on volatility, and probably thinking that, hey, the VIX has already moved up for a few days. It doesn't move up in a straight line, and it doesn't move up very, very often. You can see, once again, it kind of got to this overbought area, and it came back down. Cool. Well, let's see if this thing kind of settles in for a little bit, and then if it spikes up again. And then we'll have to see how that works out. Because if you guys remember, at the end of the summer, if we go back to the SPY, look how long of a process this was. Here's a move down, here's a move up, here's a move down, here's a move up, here's a move down, and then that was finally the move, okay? There were 3 waves to the downside before this thing finally took off. I don't know what this time is going to be like. You know, I can't even say if it's going to be 3 waves, 2 waves, none. We just don't know. But this certainly took a while, and we need to wait for the internals and the indicators and stuff like that to start to work their way to the other side of where they are right now and be able to set up again. So those are some more of the things. Like, we've got more tools. I've got some classes and promotions and education coming up that we're going to be talking about inside of the Moxie Room about some of these tools that I've been using and perfecting and refining over the last, well, gosh, even a couple years, because I really needed to get a handle on the bear market. Because if we look at this craziness, the thing that I started to realize is that there were ways to figure out when the market was going to have these bigger moves to the upside and these bigger moves to the upside, and this one here too. And then what was really surprising to me is just how much all of the market moved, and then all of the market moved this way. They were really moved in sync. And I did manage to find some techniques and some indicator tools that helped tell me when this and this and this were likely to top out and turn around. And those are the same tools that I'm using right now inside the Moxie Room to realize when this was going to top out, and same thing here when this was going to top out. And we've been ahead of the curve on this one and doing pretty well, at least just staying a step ahead of the market. And that's really all that we need to do in order to make some money out there. So remember that the market is weak. It's correcting. It's pulling back maybe 5-6%. We'll see if we can do something around there. Just be in protection mode. You can day trade out there. Of course, there are still stocks that are moving up, but they're going to be kind of few and far between. Even if you look at FNGS, which is, if I can type it in, this is the ETF for the FANG stocks, and look what we got there. Another red Moxie price trigger, which is the same thing we got back here, okay? This is time to protect, stay nimble, raise your cash, anything else like that. Just protect your account. This is not a time to be a hero. And make sure you just realize where the market is and that you can't trade it the same all the time. The market does have seasons. It does ebb and flow. And right now it's one of those times where things are coming out and it's got to reset to the downside. Okay? So everyone, thanks again for coming on over. And remember, if you are interested in the Moxie Indicator and the Moxie Indicator Room, you can come over here to simplertrading.com/Moxie. All right? Thanks again, and we'll catch you guys later at the next one. Hey, TG here with Simpler Trading. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like or comment below. Also, make sure to subscribe and click that notification bell so you can stay up to date with my market analysis. Or you can join my free newsletter with the link in the description. Good trading, and I'll see you at the next video.